So today I want to talk to you about micromanagement and why it is so easy to slip into, very difficult to kind of come out of, and why you need to try and avoid it at all costs. So yeah, before we get started, just remember that this is part of a fundraiser to save the lives of children by attempting the ultimate ultramarathon of run vlogging on consecutive days distance of a lap of the world, barefoot style. So the more support we get, the more money we raise, more children's lives we save. Thank you as always, and let's crack on. Welcome back to consecutive day 1689 for Diary of a Runpreneur. And today's episode is all about micromanagement and why you should try and avoid it at all costs. Why am I talking about this topic today? What's kind of happened over the last 2 or 3 months is that I've had a really busy period of time in my entrepreneurial journey. And quite often when things get super busy or super intense, I'm kind of guilty of just rolling my sleeves up, jumping straight in there and trying to control everything. Now, when things are going as they should and smoothly, I am pretty good at systems, processes, data reports, all that type of stuff. And I am pretty good at running things by numbers. But when this changes is when there's a higher degree of urgency than there usually is in the kind of day-to-day operations of your business or whatever you do in life. And if you have a team of people around you, it's quite easy to slip into that habit of kind of setting schedules for people, telling what they need to do in this order, this priority, and almost spoon feeding them your expectations. And this might initially make you feel kind of good and confident and that you've got everything under control and that things are going to move in the direction you want them to move in because you've got such a good plan of attack and you've kind of positioned your troops in the right departments with the right objectives to get maximum results. The problem is though, is that quite often this is your plan, and if you are somebody who is higher up the kind of chain in terms of leadership in the business, you won't have the same level of operational understanding at kind of ground level, if you like, to understand that your plan might be completely unrealistic, unachievable, for many reasons that you're not familiar with because you've been out of the operations of the business for so long. And I think that's ultimately what I found for me. And so I can't remember where I read it, I must have seen it in one of my notes or I've come across it again, that ultimately I needed to back off and go back to kind of what I knew best and what I know works. And I think I did a topic on this previously about importance of being data driven and most importantly ensuring that your team are data driven. And the easiest way to make this happen is to give everybody or as many people within the business within positions of responsibility a metric to own and a target that they need to try and aim for. It's as simple as that, and as long as they understand what's involved in making that metric move in one direction or other, then that's often all you need to kind of do to create a measurable to whether someone's doing the right things or not. And if you can get reporting as close to real time as possible, then very quickly you'll be able to see if it's not performing in the direction that you want it to perform in. So getting a data-driven team is not as difficult as you may think. So that's point one. Point two is then I had to remind myself that one of my old business mentors once said that if somebody can do something 70% as well as you, give it to them to do. And before you know it, they'll be doing it 80% as well as you, 90% as well as you, and quite often better than you did it before. But you have to trust the process that that's going to happen. And that's part and part of the challenge of letting go of the control freak within you, which is certainly keeps coming out and bearing its ugly face in my world quite frequently. So I've kind of revisited the old me, and already today we've seen massive improvements in everything that's kind of happening. So much more output for so much less of my effort. And what I was actually finding is that due to my kind of ADHD brain, if I'm involved in stuff that I don't necessarily enjoy, I procrastinate more than most. And then I can ultimately be a bottleneck for things that could be solved so quickly if I just let them go earlier. And that's really, really important. So the learnings for my diary today are that, you know, being micromanaging completely restricts your output as a business or as a group, as a team. And the sooner you understand that, the better. Quite often, as people, we like to have things under control, or what we perceive to be under control. But if you have a team of people and you're trying to control them to the kind of micromanagement levels, then ultimately that's going to restrict them. It's going to cause less output. And quite often, if you're anything like me with my ADHD mind, anything that I get given that I don't enjoy, I procrastinate over more than most. So I can bottleneck the situation. Whereas if you let go of it far sooner, you'll get it done to a probably higher standard than you would have done anyway, because you don't enjoy it and somebody else will, much quicker and more efficiently. And the key kind of aspects here as well is that if somebody can do something 70% as well as you should outsource it or delegate it, because quite often, certainly if it's a recurring action or task, that individual will very quickly, if they do it more and more, will get to 80% as well as you, 90%, 100%, and in many instances better than you would have been able to do it anyway. So you have to invest in that process of letting people kind of flourish and grow. And if you're worried about people's direction and pulling in the same kind of objective pathway that you will be, is don't micromanage their priorities. Just give them the most important metric to their job and let them understand it, how it moves, and what you expect from that metric in terms of performance. And give them the ownership. And again, in many instances, people will probably find new and better ways of achieving higher results than you perhaps would have done before, just by giving them the direction and target setting using data and allowing them the freedom, the responsibility and the belief that you have in them that they're going to achieve. And that's super critical. So hopefully that's useful, and it's certainly beneficial for me talking it through, because I'm more guilty of this than many. But hope you find it useful. Any questions or comments, drop me a line. I will respond to everyone. Do remember though, if you believe in my mission of saving the lives of children by attempting the ultimate ultramarathon of run vlogging on consecutive days, the distance of a lap of the world, barefoot style, do give this some support and engagement. As the more people we get in front of, more money we raise and more children's lives we save, which is why I do this every single day. Thank you as always. Stay positive, stay happy. I'll see you again tomorrow.